Before we begin, tonight's story comes from Portland, Oregon. A story about money, silence, and the one daughter who finally refused to pay the price. If you've ever been the responsible one in your family, the one who fixes everything, this story is for you. And if, at any point, you hear a piece of your own life in this, just know you're not crazy and you're not alone.
Sunday evenings in Portland always carry a strange kind of quiet, the kind that settles low over the river and makes the bridges look like silhouettes cut out of gray paper. I was sitting by the window of my Pearl District apartment, mug of Earl Grey in my hands, watching cyclists disappear into the fog when my phone lit up. A text from Dad. Not Dad the way most people mean it, not warmth, not memories of childhood baseball games. No, Richard Hale was something else entirely. His message was just 6 words. I disown you. All communication through my lawyer. I stared at it long enough for the steam rising off my tea to disappear. Not because I was shocked, but because I suddenly realized something terrifying. I felt absolutely nothing. No heartbreak, no panic, no grief, just a quiet, absolute stillness inside me. A stillness earned after 29 years of surviving the Hale family. I typed back one word, okay, and as soon as it sent, something inside me unlocked. It wasn't rebellion, it wasn't anger, it was relief. Like someone had finally removed a 200-pound backpack from my spine. I opened my laptop. The glow of the screen reflected in the glass, right next to the faint reflection of myself. It felt like looking at a stranger, but a freer one. I logged into my online banking, years of muscle memory guiding the clicks. First, I killed the mortgage autopay, $2,500 a month. Gone. Then the Hale family mobile plan, I was still the primary cardholder, gone. And finally, the business credit line for Hale Supply Co., the one I'd co-signed for, terminated. It was surreal. 4 years of sacrifice erased in under 10 minutes. And the irony? They didn't even realize they were the ones who cut themselves off. The Hale family had always believed 2 things about me. 1, I would never fight back. 2, I would always pay up. Both were about to be disproven, spectacularly. When everything was canceled, I didn't lean back in triumph. I didn't smile. I just sat there and listened to the rain. It sounded like applause. Then the clock struck 48 hours, and hell woke up. At 6:21 p.m. on Tuesday, my phone rang. Melissa Hale, my mother, technically, though emotionally she'd stopped being one long before I turned 12. I let it vibrate. Once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. Her voice came out high, sharp, frantic. Madison, what did you do? Not, are you okay? Not, I want to understand. Just accusations. Just panic. The panic of someone whose meal ticket just got revoked. The bank called your father, she shrieked. The mortgage payment bounced. It's due today. Fix this right now. I held the phone away from my ear, watching her name blink across the screen. Calmly, I said, Melissa, I was disowned. All communication goes through my lawyer. What? What lawyer? Madison, don't play. I hung up. Immediately, texts began pouring in like hail on a tin roof. Connor, Dad is ruined because of you. Fix it. Aunt Lorraine, your mother is hysterical. Stop being dramatic. Uncle Matt, you're embarrassing the family. Embarrassing the family that didn't even invite me to Thanksgiving last year. But here's the thing. All of this chaos, all of this fury wasn't the beginning. The story didn't start with Dad's text. It started 2 days before with a video that, once seen, could never be unseen. 48 hours earlier, at exactly 8:03 p.m., my phone buzzed with a message from Uncle Jeffrey. He never texted me, ever. So when he did, I knew something was wrong. All he wrote was, "Look at this. He must have meant to send it to someone else." Attached was a video. A simple, shaky, handheld video, but it would burn my entire family tree to ash. I pressed play. The camera opened on my father's dining room, warm lighting, the new reclaimed wood table he bought last year using the credit line I co-signed for, wine glasses, laughter, a full family dinner, one I had not been invited to in 18 months. I heard Aunt Lorraine's laugh first, loud, shrill, wine-soaked, then Dad's voice. "She's a good kid?" Uncle Matt said behind the camera. Dad snorted, actually snorted. "She's not a kid. She's an ATM, a lonely one." Laughter exploded around the table. Connor raised his glass. "It's honestly sad," he said. "She thinks paying Dad's mortgage makes her important. But she's still just Madison." They toasted. To me, to my money, to my desperation. And I watched my father grin, that smug, satisfied smirk I'd seen my whole life, and clink his beer against my brother's glass. I didn't cry, not a single tear. Because as an auditor, you learn how to look at truth without blinking. And I had just audited my own bloodline. 4 years earlier, my father's business, Hale Supply Co., had collapsed under his mismanagement. He had been days away from foreclosure. He and Melissa called me crying about losing the house, crying about how only Madison can help. They weaponized guilt the way surgeons wield scalpels, and I paid every single month for 4 years, $2,500, $2,500, $2,500, until it added up to $120,000, money I will never see again. Everyone always asks, "Why didn't you stop? Why did you let them treat you that way?" Because when you grow up the family scapegoat, you learn something early. Love isn't given. Love is purchased. You don't earn affection. You earn temporary silence. You pay for peace the way other people pay for groceries. That was me. Madison Hale, the responsible one, the fixer, the emotional sponge, the family bank. But all that changed with one accidental video, a video that revealed the truth. I wasn't family, I was funding. And that moment, that exact, precise moment, was when something in me died. Not sadness, not love, but the part of me that tried. The morning after Melissa's meltdown, I woke up with an uncanny sense of clarity. The kind you feel the moment after deciding to quit a job you've hated for years. I made a cup of coffee, sat at my kitchen island overlooking the misty Portland skyline, and opened my laptop. Today wasn't for crying, today was for documentation. Because if my family had taught me anything, it was this. Receipts speak louder than blood. I pulled up a blank spreadsheet titled Hale Family Financial Support 48 months, and I began listing everything. Every month of mortgage payments, every late fee I covered, every bit of credit line interest I absorbed, the phone plan I paid for, the emergency utilities I quietly cleared, every dollar, every transfer, every silent bailout. By the time I finished, the total glared back at me. $120,034.67. The number didn't make me angry, it made me tired. A bone-deep exhaustion that felt older than I was. My hands hovered above the keyboard. There was more. There was the video, the humiliation, the truth behind the curtain. and I knew what I needed to do. So I opened my email, created a new message, and slowly, deliberately began entering recipients. Dad, Melissa, Connor, Aunt Lorraine, Uncle Matt, my cousins, extended relatives, and the community board members who oversaw the Riverbend Community Care Fund he managed. And finally, the person who had accidentally saved my life, Uncle Jeffrey. Subject line, financial support for Richard Hale. Then, with calm precision, I typed, "To all. As I have been formally disowned by Richard as of Sunday night, this email serves as notification that all financial support I have provided is now concluded. For transparency, I have attached the ledger documenting the total of $134.60 provided over the last 48 months. Additionally, I have included a brief video from a recent family gathering, which provides context for my decision. Sincerely, Madison Hale. Attachments 1, 48-month ledger, PDF 2, family dinner, atm.mp4. I looked at the email, the attachments, the truth laid bare. Clicking send didn't feel explosive, it felt surgical, like removing a tumor. I pressed send, and instantly the Hale family, as it had existed for decades, began to collapse. The first email I received wasn't from Dad. It wasn't from Connor. It was from a law firm. A name I didn't recognize. Harrington, Cruz, and Dempsey. Their message was stiff, overly formal. Cease and desist, defamation, harassment, tortious interference. They ordered me to retract my statements, issue a public apology, and pay damages of $75,000. Because apparently, exposing the truth was offensive. Breaking financial abuse cycles? Even more offensive. I read the email, then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. They wanted me scared. They wanted silence. They wanted Madison the ATM back. They forgot who Madison had become. I forwarded the email to the attorney I'd been researching for weeks, a woman known in Oregon legal circles as a shark, Alexis Monroe. We hopped on a call. Her voice was calm, steady, professional, the exact opposite of everything I grew up with. "Madison," she said, "they're bluffing. Defamation law requires your statements to be false. You have documents. You have a literal video recording. They don't have a leg to stand on." I exhaled. "I know," I said, "but I'm not calling you just to protect myself." A pause. Then her voice sharpened. "What are you thinking?" I opened another folder on my laptop, one I had kept hidden for years. "Alexis, I've always had concerns about the Riverbend Medical Fund my father manages. The records are suspicious, creative even." She inhaled sharply. "Are you saying—" "Yes," I said. "I want a full investigation. Every deposit, every withdrawal, every receipt." Her tone turned icy. "I'm on it." 2 days later, as I sat reviewing audit reports for work, my phone rang. Alexis. Her voice was grim. "Madison, it's exactly what you suspected. But worse." My stomach tightened. "How much worse?" She exhaled. Not dramatically, but heavily, like a surgeon about to deliver bad news. "Your father didn't just borrow from the fund. He systematically siphoned off $60,000 over 3 years. From a cancer patient's medical fund." Everything inside me went cold. "He stole from Mrs. Aldridge?" Mrs. Aldridge, the elderly neighbor who had brought us brownies every Christmas when I was a kid. Dying of cancer. Barely able to afford treatment. Alexis continued. "And Madison, that's just what we can prove from the first set of documents. I'm expecting more." I closed my eyes. The room felt smaller, like the truth was pressing in from all sides. This wasn't just financial abuse anymore. This was crime, actual prosecutable crime. That night, around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. A shaky voice came through. "Hi, Madison? It's Natalie, Lorraine's daughter." I hadn't spoken to her in almost 10 years. "Natalie, what's wrong?" She began crying, real crying, the kind that comes from a place carved out by trauma. "I saw your email," she whispered, "and the video. I have to tell you something." My chest tightened. "Natalie, you're safe. Tell me. It's about your dad." The room went very, very still. "When I was 17, she said, voice trembling, "I stayed at your house for a weekend. You were away at college." I closed my eyes, bracing. He came into my room. At night. I felt my stomach turn. "Natalie?" I screamed, she said quickly. "And I told my mom the next morning. Aunt Lorraine told me I misunderstood, that I'd ruin the family if I said anything. She made me apologize to him." My hands were shaking, not from fear, from rage. Rage so old and so familiar it felt like bloodline. "Natalie," I whispered, "I believe you." She sobbed harder. "Thank you. No one ever has." The last call came an hour later, a voice I hadn't heard since I was 19. "Madison, sweetheart? Dana Whitford, my late mother's closest friend." I swallowed. "Dana?" Her voice was warm, sad, heavy. "I saw the email chain. Your cousin sent it to me. Madison, your mother would be so proud of you." I froze. "My mother?" Dana sighed, the sound full of a decade's worth of grief. "Richard didn't just mistreat you. He controlled your mother, emotionally, financially, every way a person can be controlled without leaving bruises." My breath hitched. "I don't remember that," I whispered. "You were a child," Dana said gently, "and your mother tried so hard to shield you. But he drained her. He controlled every penny, belittled her every day. He made her sick. Madison, he didn't start abusing you. He continued with you." Something inside me cracked, but not in a fragile way, more like a wall breaking to let light in. "I think," Dana added softly, "you finally did what she never could. You stopped him." After the 3 calls, I didn't cry, not because I wasn't heartbroken, but because I was done. Done absorbing pain, done paying for peace. Done shielding monsters. My father didn't realize it yet, but the text he sent, "I disown you," was the last act of power he would ever have over me. Because now, it wasn't just personal, it was legal. It was criminal. And it was coming for him. He thought I was just his ATM. He forgot I was also an auditor. The Hale family had always been good at one thing, silencing problems before outsiders noticed. But this time, the problem wasn't an argument. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't even the video. It was a paper trail. And paper trails don't obey family hierarchy. Paper trails don't fear angry fathers or golden children. Paper trails tell the truth, even when people won't. 2 days after Alexis confirmed the embezzlement, I woke up to a notification that would change everything. A news alert. Local community fund under investigation. Manager accused of misappropriation. The article didn't mention names, not yet, but Riverbend Community Care Fund? Everyone knew Richard Hale ran it, and in a small city like Portland, rumors travel faster than wildfire in the gorge. The next morning, I was reviewing an audit file when my phone started buzzing nonstop. Dozens of notifications, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn. My brother, Connor Hale, the golden child, had gone nuclear online. He had posted a giant, hysterical Facebook essay titled, My sister is trying to destroy our family. I clicked it. Of course I clicked it. And what I read was a masterpiece of entitlement and stupidity. He wrote, Madison has always been jealous of me, but now she's attacking our father by claiming he stole money from a cancer fund. She was the one who saw the books. She was the one who had access. Now $60,000 is missing, and she's trying to blame Dad to steal his house. I froze, not because of the lies, I expected those, but because of the number, $60,000. Connor had publicly confirmed the amount that no journalist, no community member, and no outsider knew yet. Only me, Alexis, Connor, and Richard. By posting that, Connor had just done the dumbest thing imaginable. He turned a rumor into a public confession. I wasn't the only one who noticed. 2 hours later, Alexis called. Her voice was practically humming with controlled excitement. Madison, the Aldridge family has filed a criminal complaint. My heartbeat slowed. Against my father? Yes. And also, brace yourself, against Connor. I sat down. What? Why him? Because, she said. His Facebook post constitutes direct acknowledgement of the amount missing and an attempt to redirect blame. Legally, that's conspiracy to defraud an accessory after the fact. I covered my mouth. Connor, golden boy, family favorite, always shielded, was about to face the real world, without the Hale name to hide behind. 3 days later, I got an email from Alexis, attachments, a police report, a prosecutor's summary, and a statement of charges. I clicked the report, and there it was in black and white, State of Oregon versus Richard Thomas Hale. Charges, felony fraud, embezzlement, theft by deception, elder abuse, and misappropriation of medical funds, and then State of Oregon versus Connor James Hale. Charges: accessory after the fact, conspiracy to defraud, and filing false statements. The golden child had fallen. The king had been dethroned. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I simply exhaled, a breath I'd been holding for 29 years. 1 week later, on a rainy Thursday evening, there was a knock on my apartment door. Not a polite knock, a frantic one. I opened the door, and there stood Richard Hale, my father, except he didn't look like a father. He looked like a man drowning, unshaven, clothes wrinkled, eyes red and sunken, hair disheveled, hands trembling. Madison, he said, voice cracking. Please, I need your help. I didn't speak. He stepped closer. They're going to arrest me. Good, I thought, but I stayed silent. The police, they talked to the board. They're looking at the accounts. I need a lawyer. A better lawyer. He wrung his hands like a guilty child. You're the auditor, he pleaded. You can fix this. You can tell them the books weren't done properly. You can tell them it was a misunderstanding. He leaned closer. Just give me money for a retainer. And there it was. The punchline of 30 years. After everything, the video, the betrayal, the humiliation, the disowning, he had come back for exactly one thing: money. I reached into my bag. He looked relieved, like he thought I was pulling out a checkbook. Instead, I handed him a folded legal document. He blinked, confused. What's this? He unfolded it. His eyes darted across the page, then widened, then panicked. It was a copy of the criminal complaint. His name, his charges, his fate. And then his eyes landed on the second name, Connor James Hale. His breath hitched. Connor. No, I said. You should give that to his lawyer, too. He looked up at me with horrified disbelief. I met his gaze. I was disowned, remember? Talk to my lawyer. And I closed the door. Slowly, deliberately. Finally. From there, everything moved fast. Faster than even I expected. As soon as Alexis sent Richard's attorney the evidence, the ledger, the video, the embezzlement documentation, their cease and desist letter disappeared like smoke. Silence. Absolute silence. They knew the game was over. The golden child cracked like thin glass. Faced with felony conspiracy charges, he collapsed. He took a plea deal. He testified against Richard. He spun a pathetic narrative. I didn't know what Dad was doing. I was manipulated. I was scared. But the community wasn't stupid. No one believed him. He avoided jail time, but his reputation shattered. His job fired him. He owed thousands in legal fees, and his friends unfollowed him overnight. For the first time in his life, he faced real consequences, and it broke him. With Connor's testimony and Alexis's evidence and the ledger and the video and the medical fund documents and the witness statements, there was nothing left to argue. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury deliberated for 48 minutes. Richard Hale was found guilty on all counts, sentenced to 3 years in state prison. I didn't attend the sentencing. I didn't need to. Some things don't require witnesses. The house, the one I paid for, the one my $120,000 kept afloat, was seized by the bank and sold at auction for a fraction of its value. The Hale family home became someone else's bargain find. Poetic, in a brutal kind of way. Once the news broke publicly, neighbors avoided them. Church groups quietly removed them from rosters. Community leaders cut ties. People whispered when Melissa walked by in the grocery store. Richard Hale wasn't just disgraced, he was exiled. Watching all of this unfold, I expected to feel guilty, or vindicated, or triumphant. But I didn't. What I felt was much simpler. Peace, not joy, not revenge, just stillness. Because for the first time in my entire life, I wasn't paying for their mistakes. I wasn't carrying their shame. I wasn't responsible for fixing anything. The collapse wasn't my fault. The collapse was their math catching up to them. The world didn't end the day my father went to prison. The sky didn't split open. The city of Portland didn't pause to acknowledge it. Life simply continued. But something inside me ended, and something new started. Slowly, quietly, like dawn sneaking in under a closed door. 1 week after Richard's sentencing, my supervisor, Elena Carter, the VP of Finance, called me into her office. The moment I stepped inside, I expected the worst, because that's what 29 years of being a Hale does to you. You expect punishment for things that aren't your fault. Elena motioned toward the chair across from her. "Close the door, Madison." My stomach dropped. I sat. I folded my hands, prepared for reprimand, sanctions, maybe even termination. Family scandal tends to spread, but instead she slid an envelope across the desk. "Open it," she said. Inside was a contract, a promotion. Senior Director of Audits for the Western Hospitality Group. I blinked, confused. "Elena, what is this?" She leaned back in her chair, studying me with soft, steady eyes. "I know there's been noise around your personal life lately, but do you want to know what I saw, Madison?" She folded her hands. "For 2 months, while under extraordinary pressure, you handled every audit with absolute clarity and professionalism. You never missed a deadline. You never broke focus. You didn't ask for special treatment." She paused. "That is the kind of leadership this firm needs." My throat tightened. No one had ever said something like that to me. No one in my family would have believed it. I looked out the floor-to-ceiling window. The Portland skyline shimmered through the fog. I didn't cry. I didn't beam. I just felt solid, like I existed on bedrock instead of sand. I signed the contract with steady hands, with a steady heart. I didn't go to the foreclosure auction. I didn't want to watch strangers walk through a home that had once held all my childhood memories, good and bad. But I heard about it. The house sold for far less than it was worth. All that money I'd poured into it, gone, evaporated. No thank you, no acknowledgement. But I realized something important. I hadn't kept the house alive for them. I'd kept it alive to avoid their rage, their silence, their weaponized guilt. Paying that mortgage was not generosity. It was a peace tax, a survival fee. And when the house finally died, so did the last tether tying me to the Hale family. Richard served his time, 3 years in state prison. I didn't visit, not once. He got out quietly. No fanfare, no welcome home banners, no community support. Last I heard, he lives in a rundown rental on the outskirts of Gresham, working part-time at a small engine repair shop. He avoids people now, especially anyone connected to the Riverbend Fund. But none of that surprised me. What surprised me was the silence. For the first time in my entire life, Richard Hale had nothing left to take from me. No money, no emotional leverage, no control. He was just gone, like a storm cloud finally drifting out of view. Connor avoided prison because of the plea deal, but he didn't avoid consequences. He lost his job, he lost friends, he lost the protective bubble the family built around him. Today, he works at a warehouse in southeast Portland. Night shifts, low pay, little dignity. I don't check in on him. I don't hate him. I don't forgive him. I simply don't feel anything for him. He was the golden child until the gold ran out. Melissa never apologized. Not once. Not for enabling Richard. Not for screaming at me. Not for guilt-tripping me into 4 years of financial servitude. She still lives in Portland, still shops at the same grocery store, still pretends none of this happened. But people whisper now when she walks past. The whispers finally found the right woman. While the Hale family imploded, my life expanded. I moved into a new apartment. Nothing fancy, just mine. A view of the river. Fresh flowers on the counter every week. A fridge filled with food I actually like. I started going on long walks through Forest Park. I started cooking again. I started sleeping without nightmares. And I started writing, not audit reports this time, my story. One night staring at a blank WordPress page, I typed, being the responsible one nearly destroyed me. Here's what I learned while rebuilding my life from the ruins of a family that never valued me. I hit publish, no expectations, no marketing, just truth. The next morning, the post had 230 comments. By the end of the week, 12,000 shares. A month later, 45,000 subscribers. People from across the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, South Africa, all writing to say, I'm the Madison in my family. I've been the ATM. I'm the scapegoat. Thank you for putting it into words. It was overwhelming, and it was healing, because for the first time in my life, my voice wasn't being dismissed. It was being echoed. 6 months after the trial, I sat alone in my apartment, watching the sunset spill orange across the Willamette River. I opened a journal, a personal one this time, and I wrote, Final ledger entry, debt closed, balance 0. Because here's the truth I finally learned. I didn't owe them my peace. I didn't owe them my money. I didn't owe them my life. The ledger wasn't between me and them. It was between me and myself. and for the first time, it finally balanced.
If you're listening to this, and you've ever been the responsible one, the fixer, the peacemaker, if you've ever paid a price just to keep the peace, this is your reminder. You don't owe anyone your mental health, your money, or your life. You deserve peace that doesn't come with a price tag. You deserve silence that isn't weaponized. And if nobody's ever told you this, let me be the first. You're allowed to walk away. Even from the people who share your blood. If this story sounded a little too familiar, you might have your own ledger to balance. And you're allowed to start today. This was Madison's story. Thank you for listening.